This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Right now, a teenager fighting for his life after someone shot into his home. What police are saying about the act of violence this morning.
Plus, rallying for change after a Cathedral High School teacher was fired for a same-sex marriage. The Prayer Circle, the school's alumni, are now planning the action they want all graduates to take.
And raising awareness about a deadly infection that kills thousands of Americans each year. The warning a widow wants everyone to hear when it comes to sepsis. Thanks for starting your morning with us here on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Nicole Griffin.
And I'm Meredith Barrick. Not meteorologist Alyssa Donovan. Storm Team 6's Alyssa Donovan is here with us today. You get on autopilot when Todd is here.
I know.
But you've got to check out our weather for us, and
Yes.
we have more sunshine in store for today.
It's going to be a beautiful day. We do have some chances of showers and storms later in the day. Most of us are not going to see that activity. Most of it's going to be to the north, and it's going to be isolated. So even if you do see it at your house, it will be brief, come and go. Now we do have just a small chance of some severe weather with that. The main threats would be damaging winds and maybe some hail. So gorgeous shot from our IMS pagoda to start our day. That sunrise is looking really nice on all of our sky cams. Temperatures right now in the 60s and low 70s, 67 degrees in Indianapolis, 71 in Muncie, and it is in the 60s right around Bloomington and right around Martinsville as well. So a very warm start today. We have high pressure in control in this warm, moist air mass. That's what's keeping us warm and humid for our Wednesday. So that high pressure is going to continue to build as we head through the day and through the next few days, which is why we're going to see those temperatures climbing into the low 90s by the weekend. However, that change comes this afternoon. We have just an upper level disturbance that will push through later today. What that's going to do is bring us just a little bit more cloud coverage across the area, and then that will bring us just that scattered nature of some isolated showers and thunderstorms, mainly over those northern counties. Again, very small risk of some strong storms with that. We could see some damaging winds and possibly some small hail. Temperatures today looking pretty good. We're starting in the 60s and 70s this morning with mostly sunny skies, a little bit more cloud coverage throughout the day, 87 degrees for our high.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. Here's a look at I-65 at Whitestown Parkway, Old State Road 3034. You can see that exit ramp is closed right now. So the ramp from northbound 65 to Whitestown Parkway is closed, and there are some lane restrictions. So keep this in mind if it's part of your drive. Hopefully it wraps up soon. Should be wrapping up within the next few minutes or so. Let's take a look at the map. We have a crash that also is in this area, well, the Lebanon area, northbound I-65, that ramp to State Road 32. There's a rollover crash, so there are some lane restrictions. If you want to get around that closure I just pointed out to you, you can continue northbound on I-65, exit at State Road 267, go southbound to Whitestown Parkway, get to your destination from there.
Elena, thank you. We are following breaking news this morning in another violent night in Indy. First, a teenager shot inside his home.
Police were calling out to this shooting here around 11:30 last night. Southeast Side officers got to a home on Talbot Street where they found the teenage boy shot. Police say someone shot into the house and hit the victim. Right now, he is in extremely critical condition at the hospital. Investigators believe this was an isolated shooting. If you have any information about what happened here, call Crime Stoppers. That number 317-262-TIPS. And then on the northwest side, Metro Police are investigating another shooting. This one sent a man in his 30s to the hospital. Police say just after 2 a.m., the victim heard a knock on the door at his home along Marabou Mills Drive. That's just off 34th Street. After some sort of conversation, the victim was shot in the hip. He's now in stable condition, and investigators believe the victim and the suspect had some kind of relationship.
New this morning, a lawsuit has been filed after a fiery crash in downtown Indy involving a Tesla that took the lives of 2 people. The widow of Kevin McCarthy has filed the lawsuit. McCarthy was the passenger in the Tesla that crashed back in 2016. Casey Speckman, the driver, lost control at a high rate of speed before crashing. An investigation also found her blood alcohol level was more than twice the legal limit. But this new lawsuit puts blame on the design of the Tesla Model S, saying an acceleration defect led to the crash. The lawsuit also blames Tesla for McCarthy not being able to get out of the car. It took first responders 20 minutes to get him out of the fiery crash, and McCarthy later died at the hospital.
Investigators in Perry County are now trying to figure out why a 40-foot tall tree toppled over, killing a young Indiana Girl Scout. 11-year-old Isabel Meyer died at Camp Cook on Monday after the tree fell on several girls and volunteers. Another Girl Scout and 2 adults had to be treated for injuries. You can hear the moments camp staff called 911.
Is anybody unconscious? Okay, we have one with I believe 2 head traumas.
Okay.
And then one, it's potentially a head trauma, potentially an abdomen.
This part of southern Indiana along the Ohio River has also been dealing with all the rain we've had, and police say the ground near the tree was still wet.
Cathedral alumni are planning to show their opposition after the high school fired a teacher in a same-sex marriage. The Cathedral Alumni Association sent a letter to members inviting them to join current students in a prayer circle. They plan to surround the Archdiocese at 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. The Alumni Association is also encouraging people to contact the Archdiocese and Archbishop directly and call on them to change their employment mandates.
Sepsis is a deadly complication that kills thousands of Americans every year. But do you know what it is or the signs that it has set in? Our Erin Lish is live this morning with a warning one widow is sharing, and it's a warning she wants every family to hear. Erin.
Good morning. So sepsis is a toxic response to an infection that kills about 270,000 Americans a year. So could this happen to you? Doctors say it can really happen to anybody. So this infection is caused by multiple things. Ones include pneumonia, urinary tract infections, and infections in your stomach. And Lisa Bartlett, her husband Jeff, died from sepsis in 2012. He went to the hospital with the fever of 104. And when he was there, he was told that he had the flu by doctors and the nurses. And the next morning, that infection spread. He went into septic shock and then died shortly after that. Bartlett wished she knew more about sepsis since this turned her world upside down.
People matter so much more to you. That little things like, am I going to be able to pay that bill, or, you know, am I going to be able to go to that concert? Those things are just not important anymore. It's the people in your life, because he was just ripped from me so suddenly.
So this can be treated if caught early. There's no single sign or symptom of sepsis, but there are some like extreme fever, chills, pain, and shortness of breath, more severe than you would have with a typical cold. And there will be a 5K here at Garfield Park this weekend. It's a 5K color run in memory of Jeff and just bringing more awareness about sepsis. So coming up in the next half hour, we're going to have a little bit more about what you should do if you think that somebody you love might have sepsis. But for now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Erin, thank you. A woman is terrified to stay in her East Side home, even though she just moved in 3 weeks ago. Ginger McQueen and her dog Lulu were in their home on Burgess Street when someone tried to break in. McQueen said she had left the windows partially open on a cool night. As the suspect tried to come in, Lulu started barking, the perfect distraction so McQueen could take action.
I pepper sprayed him enough to subdue him. It knocked him out of the window completely into a fetal position on the porch.
Police arrived quickly on scene, but McQueen says the incident has her shaken. She says she will no longer leave her windows open at night and will make sure lights are on at all times.
When Indianapolis public school students return to class on August 5th, they will have the option to ride the city bus for free. The school board discussed the program at a meeting last night. The plan encourages the district's high school students to use Indigo to get to school. The district will still provide regular bus transportation. As part of the program, students will also be able to use their Indigo passes to get to work in extracurricular activities during the upcoming school year. It is 6:09. Let's get over to a check of your weather with Alyssa.
And it is a warm start today. Temperatures in the 60s and low 70s, already 71 degrees right now in Muncie. And you can see we have a quiet radar this morning. Most of us will continue to see quiet conditions throughout your Wednesday, but there are some changes coming in later this afternoon that will likely impact some of those northern counties as well as north central counties. So what we have here is high pressure in control, and then a disturbance will move through this afternoon. What that will do is bring us a little bit more cloud coverage throughout the day. So we'll see more of a mix of sun and clouds this afternoon, starting out sunny though, so you're definitely going to need your sunglasses. And then by the later afternoon hours and into the early evening, that's when we start to see that convection, which means we could see an isolated shower and an isolated thunderstorm as well. Looks like we could see a small risk of severe weather with this system moving through. The main threats with that would be damaging winds and possibly some small hail. So as we head through the day, temperatures are climbing quite a bit. We're going to be into the mid and upper 80s across the area.
I had a lot of knowledge, but never actually got to use it.
Harnessing that knowledge to land a dream job. How learning about new training right here on RTV6 helped one man take his career to the next level. That success story is next in Hiring Hoosiers.
Plus, stopping those unwanted robocalls from ringing all day long. Who the U.S. government is now taking aim at as they work to end the annoying calls. Elena.
And here's a look at I-65 around Whitestown Parkway. So this ramp was closed before, but there are still some lane restrictions. You can see the ramp is back open. I just saw a few cars veer off and take that exit. So that's good news for your drive, but just plan ahead and be patient because you can see traffic is pretty heavy with only that one lane open. Time now 6:11. You're watching RTV6. Stay with us.
Hiring Hoosiers is our initiative from RTV6 focused on jobs. Over the past 6 months, we have seen success as we've connected people with new training and potential employers.
The success has come in all job fields from HVAC to logistics to engineering. And this morning, RTV6's Rafael Sanchez reports on how a story from back in February helped one man land his dream job.
This place is about innovation. Innovation is another one of my passions.
Danny Marshall is working on developing the next generation of battery power.
Come on.
It's intense work. It requires an inquisitive mind, and patience is a must.
We test batteries, solar cells, IoT devices, just whatever we get. So I had to have a lot of knowledge to know how to interface with those products and test them.
Danny works at the Battery Innovation Center, also known as the BIC. What happens here helps determine how numerous products, from an iPad to maybe your vehicle, is powered. Danny is a U.S. Air Force veteran. He was working in Tennessee when he applied for a job in Indianapolis, and his interviewer remembered our Hiring Hoosier story from February.
We need a new workforce from hourly all the way through to engineers and advanced scientists. With the help of WRTV6, we had a local person that saw that, gave us a call and said, hey, I just actually talked to a candidate a few weeks ago that might be of interest to you guys. And they gave us a call back. We got a hold of Danny by phone, brought him up here 1 week, and we're pretty much blown away.
Ben Reitzman says there's a great demand for people in this field.
We're looking for people with that drive.
I didn't even apply to this job. I was referred because of Hiring Hoosiers, so I thought that was really, really cool.
What a great story. That was our Rafael Sanchez reporting. The Battery Innovation Center works with a number of companies, including Cummins, Facebook, Amazon, Stanley, Black & Decker, and Valvoline. If you're interested in learning more about the training and jobs, head over to hiringhoosiers.com.
If you're looking to make some extra cash this summer, JCPenney is gearing up for the back-to-school season. The company is looking to hire up to 100 people for a variety of positions, including cashiers, stylists, and beauty consultants. Seasonal associates can enjoy flexible scheduling and employee discounts up to 25%. You can apply in person at any JCPenney location or online. We've also got a link at hiringhoosiers.com. It is 6:16 right now. Alyssa Donovan has a check at our forecast.
And we have some beautiful sunrises going on across central Indiana right now. I wanted to show you this one is our downtown north view. You can see that sun out there. We do still have a few clouds, and we're going to see those clear out till mid-morning. Then we'll see a little bit more cloud coverage build back in as we head through the day, and that's because we have a disturbance that's moving through. That could bring us some isolated showers and storms for north and north central Indiana later this afternoon. 67 degrees right now in Indianapolis. Indianapolis, the humidity has gone up to 90%, so you'll notice as you step outside, it feels a little bit sticky out. Winds are out of the southwest about 9 miles per hour. As we head through the day, we're starting out calm this morning, a quiet radar. That's going to change by the afternoon. So here's our setup. We have that warm, moist air mass just settled over Indiana right now. That's what's bringing us that humidity and continuing to warm our temperatures this morning and into the afternoon. We also have high pressure building in. What that's doing is taking our temperatures up today into the mid 80s, and then it's going to take us into the low 90s by the weekend. So we're going to continue to climb a little bit each day. But next we have this upper level disturbance that's going to hit us this afternoon and into the early evening. What's going to happen is that's going to start to build in from the northwest, and that's going to start bringing us a little bit more cloud coverage as we head into the midday hour and into the early afternoon. And then by the later afternoon and evening hours, that's when we're going to see some convection hit up as we head into those hours. And that's because we just have those daytime heating, and that's when we start to see that convection, especially over those northern counties. So we could see an isolated storm and possibly a few showers as we head into that time period. That will diminish right around sunset, but we do have a chance of some severe weather and strong storms as that moves through. So we are under a marginal risk of severe weather today. That includes Indianapolis and up into some of those northern counties. The main threats with that would be some damaging winds and possibly some small hail. But again, most of that is going to be north of Indianapolis. Temperatures today are going to be into the low and mid 80s, and then we are going to continue that climb as we head over the next couple days with that high pressure building in. 88 on Thursday, into the low 90s by Saturday. So quite a warming trend on the way. Today, we are going to continue to see those temperatures a little bit above average. Those chances of showers and storms move in later today, again, mostly for those northern counties, and they'll be isolated and spotty in nature. So if you see them at your house, they will be brief. And then Thursday and Friday, we're going to continue to see this similar setup where we start to see mostly sunny skies for most of the day, and then some convection is possible as we head into the afternoon. So we do have just a chance of a stray or spot shower Thursday and Friday afternoon. Saturday looking to be our nicest and most summer-like day in the forecast, with temperatures in the low 90s and sunshine. Hot and sunny on Sunday as well, staying in the low 90s, but then we do have some chances of showers and storms back in the forecast.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. Take a look at our live INDOT traffic camera right now. So this camera is I-65 at I-865. You can see on your screen right now in that right lane of the westbound lanes, you can see traffic is slowing down because of a motorcycle versus car crash. The good news is no serious injuries with this, but as you can see, traffic is backing up quite a bit. Let's take a look at the map. I'll point this area out to you. So this westbound I-865 near mile marker 1, and you could see that traffic is again slowing down pretty significantly in those westbound I-865 lanes. We also have a rollover crash on the northbound I-65 ramp to State Road 32. Ramp restrictions with this, but you can still make your way through that ramp.
Elena, thank you. Lawmakers have passed new immigration funding as conditions at the border continue to dominate the headlines.
The House approved $4.5 billion of aid to go to the border, but right now a different version is moving through the Senate. It's unclear if a compromise will be found. Congress is trying to find a solution before the 4th of July recess. Meanwhile, the acting director of U.S. Customs and Border Protection has turned in his resignation. He's stepping down amid outrage over the treatment of children at the border facilities.
Meanwhile, employees for the online retailer Wayfair are expected to walk out this afternoon. They're upset the company is selling beds to operators of detention centers that hold migrant children. Wayfair says they will sell to any customer who follows the laws of the country where the items are sold. Employees are now calling for the profits from these purchases to be donated to a refugee and immigrant center.
Former special counsel Robert Mueller will testify publicly before Congress next month. 2 House committees have requested to question him about his investigation into Russian election meddling and possible obstruction of justice by President Trump. Mueller has been reluctant to testify, reportedly saying the report he released in April is his testimony.
The U.S. government is now cracking down on robocalls. The Federal Trade Commission announced they are taking aim at groups that have made more than 1 billion unwanted calls. This investigation involved nearly 100 cases, some of which may include criminal charges. Congress is working on new legislation to prevent future robocalls, many of which lead to fraud cases.
Still ahead, unbelievable moments caught on camera. Georgia police officers helping a newborn found abandoned in a plastic bag. How the little girl was discovered, that's coming up.
Martin Acura.
The only name you need to know.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. We're monitoring a crash in the westbound lanes of I-865 motorcycle versus car. The good news is no serious injuries, but the bad news, you can see traffic is significantly delayed.
Elena, thank you. Incredible video captured on the body camera of a police officer in Georgia. Those officers were called after a neighbor heard cries he thought was an animal, but turned out to be a newborn baby abandoned in a trash bag. Officers quickly got a jacket around the little girl and start comforting her until medics arrive.
You have that family who is willing to investigate a noise that no one would think about hearing in the middle of the night in the wood line. And then you have the first responders there so fast to get this baby warm.
Investigators are still trying to figure out who abandoned the baby. The baby is doing great this morning, and Good Morning America will have much more with those police officers coming up.
Guardian angels right there. Turning to sports now, things are all tied up at the College World Series with just one game left. Vanderbilt won Game 2 against Michigan last night to force Game 3. Michigan struggled to get any hits against a Vandy freshman pitcher who struck out 11 players. For the Wolverines, this would be their first national title since 1962, while Vandy played for the title back in 2014. Airbnbs can be a great way to explore a new city and save some money, but now the rental site will organize 5-star level stays for you. They're unveiling a new level of rentals called Airbnb Luxe.
This will include places to rent like multi-level mansions, sky-high penthouses, castles, and even a private island. In addition to where you stay, all your activities can be planned by trip designers. Average nightly rates are between $1,500 and $2,000.
Ooh. And you know, I just want to put it out there, Airbnb, that us 4 gals here on Good Morning Indiana right now are more than willing to, you know, maybe try out some of these places, do some reviews, you know.
We'll welcome that trial.
Yes, absolutely. So you have some volunteers in us, absolutely.
You're welcome.
All right, well, no need, thankfully, to jet off on a vacation this morning because it's lovely outside.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to see just things get a little bit nicer over the next couple days. Just in time for the weekend, we're into the 90s. So that's the good news. We do have a chance of a stray storm or shower this afternoon. That's mainly over northern and north central counties. 87 degrees for the high. Thursday and Friday, a similar setup where we're seeing mostly sunny and nice conditions. But as we head into the afternoons, chances of showers and storms roll in.
Alyssa, thank you. Still ahead, taking legal action against Indiana with claims foster children are not being protected. The claims a new class action lawsuit is taking against the Department of Child Services.
Plus, pushing for the funds to create a lasting legacy. The deadline the families of Abby Williams and Libby German are now facing as they work to build a memorial park in honor of the girls. It's 6:27. We'll be right back.
Tickets at visitkingsisland.com.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 6:30, Metro Police have their hands full this morning as they investigate a number of shootings. We have all the details on a violent night in Indianapolis.
And it's a killer you may not even know about. This morning, one widow is sharing her personal story about the dangers of sepsis. It is 6:30 on your Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. Storm Team 6's Alyssa Donovan here. Alyssa, for the most part, you're saying today is going to be a nice day ahead.
Yeah, most of us are going to see really nice conditions from start to finish today, but there are some chances of showers and storms. They're going to be isolated and mainly over the northern counties and into the north central counties. So not too bad. For the most part, we're going to be in for a really nice day, and we're going to continue to see this setup over the next couple days, and temperatures are going to continue climbing. Right now, we are in the 60s across the area, 67 degrees in Indianapolis. It's 66 in Kokomo and 69 in Bloomington. So we are starting to see some clearing, a little bit of cloud coverage yet in Indianapolis, but that is going to clear out briefly until about midday. Then we'll start to see those clouds building back in. So what's going on is we have this warm air mass over the area. That's continuing to bring us those humid conditions. And then we also have high pressure building in. So what that's doing is helping take those temperatures temperatures into the mid-80s today and into the 90s by the weekend. Later this afternoon, an upper-level disturbance will move through. What that's going to do is bring us a little bit more cloud coverage as we head into the afternoon, and then those chances of some isolated showers and storms for those northern counties later today. We do have a marginal risk of severe weather and strong storms with that. Today, starting in the low 70s and upper 60s this morning, climbing into the mid-80s this afternoon.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. We have a crash that's up in the dogleg right now, so in those westbound lanes of I-865 near mile marker 1, so keep this in mind if it's part of your drive. Let's take a look at that on our live in.traffic camera right now. You can see here emergency crews are on the scene, but traffic is backing up significantly. Now, the good news is there are no injuries with this motorcycle versus car crash, but again, the bad news, traffic is backed up. So if you are going this direction for your morning drive, expect some major delays.
Elena, thank you. We're following breaking news this morning as Metro Police deal with another violent night in Indianapolis.
It all started with a teenager who was shot inside his home. Police were called out to a shooting around 11:30 last night.
Southeast Side officers got to a home on Talbot Street where they found that teenage boy shot. Police say someone shot into the house and hit the victim. Right now, he is in extremely critical condition at the hospital. Investigators believe this was an isolated shooting, but if you have any information about what happened, you are asked to call Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS.
And then on the northwest side, Metro Police are investigating another shooting. This one sent a man in his 30s to the hospital. Police say just after 2 a.m., the victim heard a knock on the door at his home along Marabou Mills Drive. That's just off 34th Street. After some sort of conversation, the victim was shot in the hip. He's now in stable condition, and investigators believe the victim and the suspect may have had some kind of relationship.
Failing to protect foster children with disabilities. That's the accusation the state of Indiana is facing in a new class action lawsuit. 9 foster children with disabilities filed the suit on behalf of the 22,000 children in the state's welfare system. They claim foster kids suffer in the system while the Department of Child Services fails to provide critical services. Attorneys hope the suit leads to big changes within the department.
We have one young girl who was in a state psychiatric hospital, and she had to stay there for months after she had reached her maximum treatment benefit because DCS failed to find a proper placement for her. So we have a child who's living in a psych hospital who doesn't need to be there.
We're hoping with this litigation that it's an opportunity to finally hold DCS accountable and say, it's time. You guys really need to start making the changes that need to be made to fundamentally change how we are going to help protect these children.
The class action lawsuit does not seek monetary damages. DCS will not comment on pending litigation.
We're hearing from the families of Abby Williams and Libby German as they race to raise $50,000 for a memorial park.
A living legacy really is one of the best ways to describe it. All the things that the girls enjoy doing will all be here for us.
We told you last week if organizers raise $50,000 by August 14th, they can get a matching grant from the state. The park will honor the legacies of Abby and Libby. It has been more than 2 years since the girls were killed on a trail near Delphi. The project will include softball fields, playgrounds, picnic shelters, and an amphitheater.
It really is a community-minded project here. This crowdfunding is specifically geared towards the amphitheater, which is going to be one of the signature pieces out here. It's going to allow, for the, high school kids to come out and play, have concerts, bands, any other kind of activities that you want to have underneath this.
For information on how to make a donation, go to the RTV6 app and just click on this story. The search for Abby and Libby's killer continues this morning. Police believe this is the man who killed the girls on the Monon High Bridge back in February of 2017. If you know who he is or how he may be connected to Delphi, call or email in a tip. That phone number and email address on your screen is right now. We also have that information posted on the IndyChannel.com.
A widow remembers every detail of her husband's death as doctors tried to save his life 7 years ago. Physicians thought he had the flu, but it turned out to be much worse. He had sepsis. Our Aaron Lish sat down with that woman to learn more about the dangers of this condition. And Aaron, a lot of people curious, could this happen to anyone?
Well, doctors say anyone can get an infection, and any infection can lead to sepsis. So really, anyone can have this condition, especially the ones that are higher at risk are those who are 65 and older, babies, those who have a chronic disease or a weak immune system. Sepsis happens when you have an infection already in your body that triggers a chain reaction. For Lisa Bartlett, her husband Jeff died from sepsis in 2012. This was after he went to the hospital with a fever of 104, and it's really unclear what infection he actually had, but while there, doctors and nurses thought he might have the flu. The next morning, he was life-flighted to another hospital. He had septic shock and then passed away shortly after that. Bartlett says, "Tell doctors I'm worried about my loved one having sepsis so they can do a blood test immediately."
We have to really be proactive. You have to speak up if your loved one is not improving. If you think it might be sepsis, sometimes you have to fight them to test for it. You have to do whatever you need to do, because in hindsight, I would have fought a lot harder if I, had the chance to do it over again.
So doctors tell me sepsis can be treated with antibiotics, but the big thing is it has to be caught in time. So this is the card from the Sepsis Alliance that you can get. It breaks down that word time. It shows what temperature somebody might be having. Is it too high? Is it too low? Does somebody have an infection? Are they having mental problems? Are they confused? Are they sleepy? And are they extremely ill? Those are some signs that you might have a problem with sepsis. So that is at that point where you need to call 911 and tell a doctor that, hey, I might have somebody who has a problem with sepsis. What can we do? What's the next step? And here at Garfield Park, they will have a 5K this weekend in memory of Jeff and raising more awareness about this condition. Back to you in the studio.
Erin, thank you. New this morning, 2 people are in the Owen County Jail on allegations of animal neglect and bird fighting. The arrests follow tips from concerned neighbors about a home belonging to Jeffrey Pierce and Kristen Hammond. During the search, police found several birds. The Owen County Humane Society says some of the birds were dubbed. That's a process where the bird's combs, wattles, and earlobes are removed for fighting. The Humane Society says they removed nearly 60 birds from the home. Deputies say Pierce and Hammond face drug and animal fighting charges.
Hiring Hoosiers is RTV6's initiative connecting you to jobs, training, education, and resources. A job fair will be held today in Brownsburg for a facility opening next month. Radial handles ordering and shipping for retailers. Its new fulfillment center will be on East 56th Street. The company plans to start with around 150 employees and add hundreds more by peak retail season. The job fair goes from 10 to 2 at the Hampton Inn on Maplehurst Drive. For more information, you can head to hiringhoosiers.com. It is 6:39, and I am so very excited for today's dog walking forecast because this is my dog cousin, Coco.
Dog cousin. So that means it's your aunt's dog?
It is. My Aunt Nancy and Uncle Jerry down in Greensburg.
Coco.
Look at her chilling in the pool.
Adorable picture. I think she's on a table.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't
look like a pool.
I was going to say I didn't think they had a pool, but maybe they just hid it from me.
Maybe you'll get one for them now so they can send
It would be a good day for a dip in the doggy pool.
It would. We are going to see those temperatures into the 80s today. We're starting a little warm this morning, so it is a good day to walk your dog. As we head into the afternoon, that's when we're just going to see a chance of an isolated shower or storm. Most of that activity, though, is going to be for northern counties. So we have this setup where high pressure is building in, but we have a disturbance that's going to move through later today. What that's going to do is bring us just a little bit more cloud coverage as we head into the afternoon, and then it is going to bring us that potential for some convection for those northern and north central counties. Just a chance of an isolated shower or storm. Some of those could be severe or strong. The main threats with that will be damaging winds and small hail if we do see any of those thunderstorms moving through. Today, our highs are going to be into the upper 80s for many of us, close to the 90s in some areas.
All right, Alyssa, thank you. All eyes on the 2020 presidential race tonight. What you can expect in the first Democratic debate.
And we're getting a look at some wild video out of Kentucky this morning. We'll show you the moment a tornado hit a marina as voters scramble for cover. It's 6:41. We'll be right back.
Stars and Stripes event at Ashley Home Store.
Tonight is the first big night for the 2020 presidential race. The Democratic national debates get underway this evening in Miami. With so many running, the debate has been split into two nights. Senator Elizabeth Warren will take center stage. She's the only one of the top 5 candidates appearing tonight. The candidates who hope to take President Trump's job next year will be limited to 60-second answers in the primetime event. Others appearing tonight: New Jersey Senator Cory Booker and former Texas Representative Beto O'Rourke.
It wasn't easy, but the House approved a $4.5 billion border aid package Tuesday night. The fate of the measure is unknown. The White House seems to favor a slightly different Senate bill that sets aside nearly $4.6 billion for the border crisis. Congress hopes to get this done before they recess for the 4th of July holiday. Meanwhile, the acting director of U.S. Customs and Border Protection has turned in his resignation. He's stepping down amid outrage over the treatment of children at border facilities. Mark Morgan, who once led U.S. Border Patrol, has been tapped to take over. This morning, we are learning more about 2 U.S. service members who were killed in Afghanistan today. That's where the U.S. is currently holding peace talks with the Taliban. It's not clear if the deaths were a result of the war, which at almost 18 years is the U.S.'s longest running. We'll learn the identities of the soldiers once family has been notified.
This morning, we are getting a look at some wild video showing scary moments on the water in Kentucky. This is video from Kentucky Lake in the southern part of the state. Boaters were pulling back into a marina when a powerful storm hit on Sunday. You can see the boaters pulled up to the dock just as the storm hits, eventually ripping apart the marina. The National Weather Service determined an EF1 tornado hit the pier with winds of 100 miles per hour. Amazingly, no one was injured, but more than 40 boats were damaged. And here at home, we are expecting another nice day with sunshine. Perfect to get outside.
Yeah. It's going to be a good day to get outside, and you can see that right now on our Salesforce Tower Cam. We are seeing some very nice sunny skies clearing right now, and we're going to continue to see that for most of the day before the clouds build in this afternoon again. And that's just ahead of a wave that's going to bring us a small chance of an isolated shower or two this afternoon and into the early evening. Right now, it's 67 degrees in Indianapolis, so a very warm start. That humidity has gone up to 90%, so you might feel that as you step outside. It's going to be a little bit sticky. Winds are out of the southwest, just about 9 miles per hour. And you can see we are going to see some changes later today. Isolated afternoon storms. Most of that activity is going to be for those northern counties and north central counties. Besides that, most of us are going to stay sunny with just a mixture of sun and clouds throughout the day and humid conditions. And then we're going to continue this warming trend as we head into the weekend. We'll be into the low 90s. So it's finally a lot more summer-like out there. We have warm air over the area, and we have high pressure building in. So that warm and moist air is going to mix with that upper wave that's moving through today, which is going to bring us that potential of a little bit of convection later this afternoon and evening, especially along those northwest counties. So we're starting clear this morning for many locations, and then we are going to see those clouds build in this afternoon. We'll see peaks of sunshine throughout the day, though, so we're not going to completely be socked in with that cloud coverage. And then later in the afternoon, as we hit that daytime heating, those temperature highs, that's when we're going to see that potential of a little bit of convection for northern and into north central counties. We could see an isolated shower, possibly a stray thunderstorm or two. Now, if we do see those thunderstorms, we could see some of those become strong to severe. So we are under a marginal risk. That is from Indianapolis and areas to the north and west. That is for today, this afternoon and evening. The main threats with that would be some damaging winds and possibly some small hail. So not huge threat, but it is there. So you just need to be aware. Temperatures will continue climbing as we head into the weekend. High pressure is going to be in control, keeping us mostly sunny for these days. On Thursday and Friday, we'll continue to see a small chance of that convection as we head into the afternoon. So we can't rule out a stray shower or storm both afternoons. But for the weekend, looking pretty good. 90s on Saturday with warm and sunny conditions, and then just a chance of some showers and storms as we head into Sunday. So pretty good outlook for the next few days. A lot more summer-like than we have been. Tomorrow into the 80s. Staying in the 80s on Friday, and then we are going to be into the 90s for the weekend before we start dropping back down where we should be into those mid-80s by next week.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. So as you're taking to the roads right now, there's a crash that's creating quite the backup up on 865. So westbound I-865, that's near mile marker 1. It's a car versus motorcycle crash. The good news is no injuries with this, but since this is already down to 1 lane for some road work, it's causing quite the backup. Let's take a look at that right now. So here's a look at law enforcement on the scene, and you can see those lane restrictions with crews out there in those left lanes, and you can see that lane is just 1 lane of traffic moving through. There's also some restrictions on northbound I-65, which is creating this backup to build even more so. So right now we know this traffic backups all the way to 465. So if this is part of your drive, expect some major delays. You can always use 86th Street as an alternate route.
Elena, thank you. San Francisco will become the first major U.S. city to ban the sale of e-cigarettes. City supervisors approved the ordinance Tuesday. Supporters of the measure say it will help curb underage vaping. Opponents say it'll make it harder for adults to get cigarette alternatives. Once it gets the mayor's signature, the measure will take about 6 months to fully implement. E-cigarette maker Juul, which is headquartered in San Fran, is behind a ballot initiative that some worry could roll back the city ordinance if voters approve it in upcoming elections.
While still problematic, alcohol use among teens is down. A national survey of 8th, 10th, and 12th grade students found that overall alcohol use has dropped in recent years. According to the data, by the end of 12th grade, 59% of students had consumed more than a few sips of alcohol. Just under 43% of 12th graders reported having been drunk at least once in their life. The American Academy of Pediatrics says continuing to send a message to teens about the dangers of drinking alcohol can help the trend continue. A family now taking aim at Tesla after a deadly crash here in Indianapolis. Why they say the car maker led to the death of 2 people. It's 6:50. You're watching Good Morning Indiana. We'll be right back.
Visit the Hiring Hoosiers job board.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 6:53. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. We're working for you on this Wednesday morning, helping you get your day started.
We have your top stories covered, and Elena Martella is keeping a close eye on a major backup right now. We do want to start things off with Alyssa Donovan and this great forecast ahead.
And it is going to be a nice day. We're starting very warm and a little bit humid this morning. Temperatures right now in the 60s and low 70s at some locations, already 71 in Muncie. And we're going to continue that climb today. However, it does come with a price. We do have a small chance of an isolated shower or storm as we head into the afternoon, and that's mostly going to be around northern and north central counties here in Indianapolis. More likely, if we do see any of that, it would be very quick and brief. Temperatures today climbing into the mid-80s. Those storms possible later today.
Alyssa, thank you. New this morning, a lawsuit has been filed after a fiery crash in downtown Indy involving a Tesla that took the lives of 2 people. The widow of Kevin McCarthy has filed the lawsuit. McCarthy was the passenger in the Tesla that crashed back in 2016. Casey Speckman, the driver, lost control at a high rate of speed before crashing. An investigation also found her blood alcohol level was more than twice the legal limit. But this new lawsuit puts blame on the design of the Tesla Model S, saying an acceleration defect led to the crash. The lawsuit also puts blame on Tesla for McCarthy not being able to get out of the car.
Investigators in Perry County now trying to figure out why a 40-foot tall tree toppled over, killing a young Indiana Girl Scout. 11-year-old Isabel Meyer died at Camp Cook on Monday after the tree fell on several girls and volunteers. Another Girl Scout and 2 adults had to be treated for their injuries.
Cathedral alumni are planning to show their opposition after the high school fired a teacher in a same-sex marriage. The Cathedral Alumni Association sent a letter to members inviting them to join current students in a prayer circle. They plan to surround the Archdiocese at 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Aaron.
Good morning. We are here at Garfield Park, where a widow is holding a 5K this Saturday in memory of her husband who died from sepsis. So Lisa Bartlett wants to raise awareness about this condition that really can happen to anyone caused by an infection. Her husband, Jeff, died 24 hours after going to the hospital with a fever of 104. If you notice signs of a temperature higher or lower than normal, they have an infection, they're mentally declining, and feel extremely ill, tell doctors you're worried that that they might have sepsis. It's something that can be treated by antibiotics, but doctors say it has to be caught quickly. Bartlett says she wishes she knew more about this condition so she could have had a chance to potentially save her husband. Back to you in the studio.
Aaron, thank you. A woman is terrified to stay in her East Side home even though she just moved in 3 weeks ago. Ginger McQueen and her dog Lulu were in their home on Burgess Street when someone tried to break in. McQueen said she had left the windows partially open on a cool night. As the suspect tried to come in, Lulu started barking. The perfect distraction so McQueen could get the pepper spray and pepper spray the suspect.
And here's a reminder, Shark Tank is coming to Indianapolis. You can pitch your idea to producers at an open call on July 16th at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Doors open at 6 a.m. For more information, you can go to the IndyChannel.com. Elena.
And we're monitoring a major backup on the interstate right now, caused because of a crash. So westbound I-865, there's a crash near mile marker 1. So that's right around I-65. So we know it's a car versus motorcycle crash. The good news, no injuries. The bad news is traffic's backed up all the way to 465.
And we are going to see a fairly nice day today. Temperatures climbing into the mid-80s this afternoon. We do have that chance of an isolated stray shower or storm this afternoon and early evening. That's mainly for northern and north central counties. Most of us will stay dry today, and we'll continue that pattern Thursday and Friday as well, where we see mostly nice conditions with just a chance of a stray shower or two in the afternoon. Saturday and Sunday, we are back into the 90s. It's looking very nice Saturday with just a chance of showers and storms on Sunday. Temperatures dropping back down as we head through the rest of the work week.
Alyssa, thank you. We are back in 25 minutes and throughout Good Morning America.
Thanks for joining us so much. Have a great day.